Have you ever met a slave? I have. A century after slavery was abolished. In 2010, I was standing on the lawn of the Martin Luther King birth home, leading a group of little boys on a tour about to enter the front door of King's house. These kids were aged 9 to 13. One had a head smashed in. Another had lashings of a whip on the back of his neck, as if yesterday. All of them had scars around their body. They were slaves, just days removed from escaping Haiti, having come to Atlanta to visit Dr. King's home to connect with his legacy. That's when the power of historic sites hit me. The legacy of such a place, the power of place, from slavery to freedom. That's why today I carry this pen. This pen is made from wood that comes from a tree that witnessed Abraham Lincoln deliver the Gettysburg Address on the bloodiest battlefield of American history at Gettysburg in 1863. This to me symbolizes the journey from slavery to freedom, the connection of past to present, the new birth of freedom that Lincoln spoke of, on the grounds where the last full measure of devotion was given by these soldiers. One such moment I realized that is when I was standing on top of a grave, numbered, no name, because that man had sacrificed his identity in the battle for freedom. In that way, the past connected to my present, the journey of the American experience. The same way, a pen can be such a powerful way of communication is how I connected through a book when I was in Los Alamos, working at the site of the creation of the atomic bomb. You see, as you walk out of the museum, there is a book for reflection by visitors. I opened that book, and I started to read some of the comments. The atomic bomb is evil. The atomic bomb saved my grandfather's life. Those were the different perspectives that came from the past to the present to remember each person's story and connection to place. You know, on this trip to England, a couple days ago, I was walking at Stonehenge. Chris told me that he had left the military from England, a guy about my age, in his 30s. He left in 2013, 8 years ago, with PTSD. But it wasn't until 2020, 7 years after he left the military, when he went to Stonehenge for the first time and stood in the center of that stone monument, that he felt, as he put it, at peace. My first time that I felt human. That is how the past can connect to the present. You may choose to visit the past, but the past is always visiting you, as it did for Chris. Back at the Martin Luther King home, just a few days after having met real live slaves in 2010, I was speaking with a gentleman, older, who had participated in the civil rights movement. And there were different ways of participating, some peaceful, some violent. He was one that advocated a more violent approach in the 1960s. But as he stood there in 2010 in front of me, provoked by the conversation that takes place only at a place like this, that you may not have even in your own living room, he told me, I was wrong. Dr. King was right. That is the kind of revelation that can happen with the power of a historic site. These issues continue with us today. On September 17th, the 234th anniversary of the writing of the Constitution in the United States, we continue to debate these issues. That's why I wrote my book, How Many Ways Did Founding Fathers Oppose the Constitution? Because even then, exactly 234 years ago, they debated the meanings. The very people who created the Constitution debated the meanings of what they wrote, and they would continue to do so for years, for generations, and as we continue today, because history still lives. And what is past is still around you in your present.
Yeah.
Thank you.